Daily current affairs from Dristi IAS dated 27 September 2024. The infographics contain the company rule of India from 1773 to 1858. And with the arrival of British in 1608 and the permission to trade from Jahangir, East India Company rule has started in 1757, and ultimately with Regulating Act of 1773, it led to the British Crown's control over East India Company and start of centralized governance. It also led to the establishment of Supreme Court of Calcutta in 1774. Dynasty became the first Governor General of Bengal. It also led to the prohibition of company servant from private trade and bribes. And the malfunctioning of Regulating Act of 1773 was amended through Amending Act of 1781, and it led to the exemption of Governor General of Council from Supreme Court's jurisdiction and revenue oversights. Another great moment was Pitt's India Act of 1784, and it led to the differentiation of commercial and political function of company, and with the separation of control of directors, which was responsible for commercial affairs, and board of control, which was responsible for political affairs. Hence, it led to the establishment of double government in India through East India Company. And again, it granted British Crown supreme control over company's territory. An amendment was led to this act in 1786, and Lord Cornwallis became first Governor General of Bengal, who was having grand overriding authority and the same power, or he was having the same commander in chief status. Again, Charter Act of 1793, it led to the enhancement of power of Governor General, and also it led to the control of West Bengal presidency over Bombay and Madras. It also led to the monopoly of East India Company continued for another 20 years. Again, border control was to be paid from Indian revenue. The centralizing tendency again is taken its path through Charter Act of 1813, and it led to the East India Company monopoly ended in trade and tea and with China as well. It also allowed Asian missionaries in India and promotion of Western education. It authorized local tax and punishment of non-payment. Again, through Charter Act of 1833, the ultimate centralization was done, and it led to the establishment of Governor General of Bengal becoming Governor General of India, and the first Governor General of India was Lord William Bentinck. It also led to the establishment of Law Commission of India in 1834 with Chairman Lord Macaulay. East India Company became purely administrative body, and it has ended its commercial activities. It also led to the proposal for open competitive services civil services exam, which later was opposed from within. It again before the revolt of 1857, Charter Act of 1853 was ultimate legislation which led to the final reshaping of governance in India, and it established Indian Central Legislative Council, which is also called mini parliament. It led to the separation of legislative and executive function of the government. Again, it opened civil services to Indian and evaluated their recruitment. It also allowed company to retain territories under crown for indefinite period. To the next topic, and it says India's proposed shipbuilding mission, and it was in news because of Minister of Ports, Shipbuilding and Waterways is preparing shipbuilding mission uh, and India's global shipbuilding industry by 2047, and it is going to be in line with Make in India initiative. Key feature going to include global market positioning by 2047 hub. It also comprehensively strategizes different areas into 12 sectors, which includes financing, insurance, shipbuilding, recycling, and many other arbitration, and destination as well. It also includes development of shipbuilding parks, and it is going to establish mega shipbuilding parks with the help or of South Korean and Japanese government. These parks are going to be established in Maharashtra, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Gujarat. In the changing current trade dynamics, India currently holds a outflow of $110 billion, and it can be ended through shipbuilding mission of India. It also comprises Maritime Development Fund, and government has planned to establish a Maritime Development Fund with the corpus of 25,000 crore rupees, and it is going to be set up in the line of National Bank for Financial Infrastructure and Development (NABFID), and this mission is going to be aligned through two more missions, and means it is being allied with two missions like Cruise India mission. It is going to enhance port infrastructure and build exclusive cruise terminals to accommodate large cruise ships. It also going to have repair and recycle mission through major recycling and repairing hubs like Cochin, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and Vadinar, Gujarat. Ultimately, in International Maritime Dispute Resolution Center (IIMDRC) has been launched to resolve maritime disputes, and it is going to reduce reliance on global hubs like Dubai and Singapore. It also going to protect domestic. And when we talk about the recent development in Indian maritime sector, then there was establishment Galathea Bay Port and Jawaharlal Port Trust will increase its handling capacity up to 10 million 20-foot equivalent units TU. Again, it is going to hydrogen manufacturing hub with total 39,900 acres of land has been allocated to Dindayal Port Authority DPA Kandla and VO Chithambaram Port Trust, formerly known as Tuticorin Port Trust, for the setting of hydrogen manufacturing hub. Again, global reach out, India's Port Global Limited (IPGL) has taken over the operation of terminals at various international ports in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. And India has also successfully operationalized its contracts for Chawar Port in Iran. It also contains proposed 4,800 kilometers long India Middle Economic Corridor (IMEC). This is going to link India's port with countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. Again, it contains Maitri platform, which stands as Master Application for International Trade and Regulation Interface, which integrates multiple Indian operational portals with those of UAE and streamlining cross-border trade process. And it is designated as block backbone of Virtual Trade Corridor (VTC) of IMEC, which will facilitate secure and efficient sharing of trade data. Now let's move to India's top shipbuilding companies, which are Mazgaon Dock Limited, MDL Cochin Shipyard Limited (CSL). It specializes in offshore vessels, oil tankers, and aircraft carriers. Adani Group initiatives in 2004 Mudra Port in Gujarat. Now let's move talk about Maritime India Vision 2030, and it is going to strengthen country's maritime sector, and it is going to add infrastructure investment to the tune of 1,25,000 crores for capacity augmentation and development, world-class infrastructure in India's and major ports in India includes Dindayal Port in Gujarat, Mumbai Port, and below that Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust (JNPA), Marmagao in Goa, New Mangalore in Karnataka, Cochin in Kerala, BO Chitambram Port in Tamil Nadu, Chennai Port in Tamil Nadu, and Kamaraj Port, which is also called Innova in Tamil Nadu itself. Visakhapatnam Port in Andhra Pradesh, Paradip Port in Odisha, and Kolkata Port in West Bengal. Now let's move to the next topic, which is India's Water Week 2024, and it is sourced from Public Press Information Bureau. And it says the President of India inaugurated 8th Indian Water Week IWW 4 in New Delhi under the aegis of Ministry of Jal Shakti. And what is India Water Week? Because it aims to address critical challenges pertaining to water management. And since its inception in 2012, it has evolved into crucial platform which deals with water diplomacy, facilitating dialogue, innovation, and water-related challenges. And this year theme was partnership and cooperation in inclusive water development and management. And it also emphasizes on water conservation, efficient management, and equivalent distribution of resources. These are the summary of the past theme. We can go through it. And International WASH Conference. It was about highlighting hygiene, stands sort as WASH, Water Sanitation Hygiene Conference, and it is organized by Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation under Ministry of Jal Shakti, and it relates to SDG number 6, which contains sustaining rural water supply, and it led to the outcome which says India's leadership in rural water management through initiatives like Swachh Bharat Mission, and it also highlights initiatives like Catch the Rain campaign, which was started in 2020 and which it advocated for a national-wide people-centric movement to confront the ongoing water crisis. And National Safe Water Dialogue focused on impact of Jal Jeevan Mission was in news because it has World War because Jal Jeevan Mission contains the supply of. And when you talk about the water pollution, then India ranked 128th out of 122 countries on Global Water Quality Index 2024. And when you talk about the government initiative related to water management in India, then it contains Water National Water Policy 2012, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, Catch the Rain campaign, Atal Bhujan Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission, and National Mission for Clean Ganga NMCG. And way forward can be integrated water resource management and other climate resilient infrastructure and planning. Let's move to the new topic, which contains disproportionate burden on working women. And it has been sourced through Hindu newspaper, and it contains the recent tragic death of 26-year-old female chartered accountant at Ernst and Young Company, and which has reignited discussions about excessive workload and women professional white collar job in India. And this version contains the data of International Labor Organization, which says that professional Indian women work an average of 55 hours per week within 9 to 11 working hours and leaving 7 to 10 hours for the rest. The young professional, there is a question related to Global Gender Gap Index, and it is from prelims 2027, and it says Global Gender Gap Index is published by which organization? Options are A, World Economic Forum, option B, Human Rights Council, option C, UN Women, option D, World Health Organization. And the correct answer is A, World Economic Forum. Next topic says Supreme Court holds criminal cases under Armed Forces Special Powers at upsc. And it was in news because Supreme Court has quashed a fire and sent aside all proceedings against 31 para special force personnel accused of elite killings civilian in Nagaland. And Ministry of Home Affairs declined to grant sanctions for initial criminal prosecution against these personnel. And it is point to be noted that AFSPA Act has been extended to another 6 months from 1st October 2024 in 8 districts of Nagaland, 3 districts of Arunachal Pradesh. And these extensions follows review of law and order situation in two states to maintain minimum law, order, and facilitation of operations of armed forces in disturbed areas. And as per MHA, AFSPA has been lifted in 70% of northeastern states but remains in force in Jammu and Kashmir with potential consideration for evocation in pipeline. What are the key facts of the case and Supreme Court ruling? The background includes the incident happened in 2021 and it led to subsequent legal proceedings and which were halted by Supreme Court due to lack of central government MHA sanctions requirement under Section C of OSPA. That's why Supreme Court has closed criminal proceedings against armed personnel involving in the incident and it led the possibility of opening of proceedings and by the revival if the government granted and the, the section 6 of OSPA says that it protects action carried out under the act stating that no prosecution, suits, or other legal proceedings can be initiated against any individual for action taken or believed to be taken under the act without prior approval from the central government. Means ultimately the prior approval of central government is required for the start of proceedings against any armed force personnel. And what are the special armed forces special power act 1958? And it has its beginning in 15th August 1942 when British colonial government introduced POSPA to suppress Quit India movement. And it led to the several ordinances which includes Assam disturbed areas in 1947 as well. Ultimately, Armed Forces Assam and Manipur Special Powers Act 1958 followed the of distributed area Disturbed Area Act of 1955 to address earthquakes in Naga Hills. And ultimately, these acts are later replaced by AFSPA for border use. AFSPA was passed by Parliament on 11th September 1958 and it was implemented in response to escalating violence in northern states. And it granted power to armed forces and our central armed police force in disturbed area. It allowed them to kill individuals violating the law, arrest and searches. It also permits arrest without warrant and receives protection from prosecution and legal suits unless sanctioned by central government. Both the state and union government can issue notification declaring certain areas disturbed and granting armed forces for the authority under APSPA. And for the states of Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland, MHA had issued periodic disturbed area notification. And what is the definition of disturbed area under APSPA? Was notified under Section 3 of Act, which invoked when deployment of armed forces in aid of civil power is deemed necessity. Act was amended in 1972 to allow both central and state government to declare an area as undisturbed. And central government or state governor of state or the administrator of a union territory can declare any part or entirety of state or territory as disturbed area. And once the declaration was made, it remains under this status for a continuous period for the Disturbed Area Special Courts Act 1776. 1976. There are various committees related to AFPA, and one of them is Human Ready Committee. It was established in November 2004, and it recommended few measures regarding, and it has recommended for repealing of OFSPA and incorporation of its provision into Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA 1967. It also recommended for the modification of UPA Act to clearly define the powers of armed paramilitary forces. There was provision to set up grievance cell in each district where armed forces were deployed. Second, ERC also recommended in its fifth report regarding second Administrative Reform Commission with the repealing of OFSPA because it will remove feeling of discrimination and alienation. Another committee, Santosh Hedge Committee, it has reviewed OFSPA, recommended for reviewing OFSPA every 6 months to ensure its necessity and enhance its humanitarian aspects. It also recommended for amending OUP Act to address terrorism rather than relying solely on OFSPA. It also recommended for investigation of armed forces for excess committed during their duties in staff areas. The violence of North Asian state is because of multi factors like there are multi-ethnic diversity, there is lack of economic development, there is demographic change because of influx of refugees, and there was United National Liberation Force ULFA, which was formed in response to anti-immigrant sentiment. There is also perceived army excesses like Irom Sarmila Chanu from Manipur, which has fasted for 16 years in the process of AFSPA. And also there is regions like political instability in neighboring countries and external support in like East India, East Pakistan rule in disturbance. And these problems can be tackled through trust, peace accords, enhanced connectivity, and adherence to human rights laws. Major milestone by securing Tier 1 status and Global Cyber Security Index was launched in 2015 by International Telecom Union, and it is to commitment for cyber security at global level, and it comprises multi-stakeholder approach and it uses the expertise of different organizations. It also aims to improve quality of service, raise awareness about cyber security. And the pillar of assessment includes five pillars. First is legal measurement, second is technical measurement, third is organizational measures, fourth capacity building, and last one operations. And in five tier analysis, tier one role modeling, tier two advancing, tier three establishing, tier four evolving, and tier five building. And key highlight of GCI 2024 was ransom attacks, critical industries, outrage, and threat to private privacy violations. And India's performance is said to be good enough, and India is in tier 1 with countries like US, Japan, and Australia, and it scored 98.49 out of 100, which was an improvement from 97 last year, in the 97.5 in 2020 edition. And robust legal frameworks like Information Technology Act 2000, Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2020. The International Trade Telecom Union, it is a United Nations specialized agency for ICT, and it was founded in 1865 to facilitate international connectivity and communication. It is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, and it allocates global radio spectrum and satellite orbits and develops telecom standards to ensure network and technological seamlessly interconnections through worldwide. And India has been a member of ITU since 1869 and has been a member of ITU Governing Council since its inception in 1919. And prelims question includes which of the following reviews the independent regulators in sectors like telecom and insurance electricity. And options are ad hoc committee set up by Parliament, Parliament Department related standing committee. Third one is Finance Commission. Fourth one is Financial Sector Legislative Reform Commission. Fifth one is Niti Aayog. And the correct answer is A, 1 and 2. Ad hoc committee set up by Parliament and Parliamentary Department related standing committee reviews the independent regulators in sectors like telecom, insurance, and electricity. And Finance Commission, Financial Sector Legislative Reforms Commission, Niti Aayog are not related to these regulations. Another question is, what is the term public key infrastructure in the context of a digital security infrastructure, food security infrastructure, healthcare and educational infrastructure, telecom and transportation infrastructure? And the correct answer is A, digital security infrastructure. Another question is, which of the following is are the aims of Digital India plan for government of India? Option includes formation of India's own internet companies like China did. Option 2, establish a policy framework for encouragement of overseas multinational corporations that collect big data to build their data centers within our national geographical boundaries. Option 3, connect many our villages to internet and bring Wi-Fi to many of our schools, public places and major tourist centers. And the correct answer is B, only 3. The Digital India aims at connecting many of our villages to internet and bring Wi-Fi to many of our schools, public places, and major tourist centers. Another prelims highlight is world's ocean approaching acidification level, and the recent Potsdam Institute of Climate Impact Research (PIK) Germany has highlighted this ocean acidification. Is that key findings of the report includes planetary boundaries out of 9, 6 critical Earth system, including climate change, biodiversity loss, and power, has been breached. And planetary boundaries framework is introduced by Johannes Rockstrom, 28 and scientists and 28 scientists in 2009, and it outlines in Earth's environmental limitations to ensure stability and biodiversity for humanity is safe operations. And line planetary boundaries includes climate change, change in biosphere integrity, stratospheric ozone depletion, acidification, bioecochemical flow, which includes phosphorus and nitrogen cycles, land system change, which includes deforestation, waste use, includes alternations across entire water cycle over land, and atmospheric aerosol land loadings. It includes microscopic particles in the atmosphere that affects climate and living organisms, and introduction of novel entities consisting of microplastic, endocrine disruptors, and organic pollutants. And this infographics contains all 9 planetary boundaries founded by Potsdam Institute of Climate Impact Research, PIK, Germany. Planetary framework introduced by John Robb Storms and 28 scientists in 2009. Ocean acidification refers to process by which the pH level of ocean decreases due to absorption of excess atmospheric carbon dioxide. And the process includes when carbon dioxide is dissolved by seawaters, which triggers chemical reactions and leading to release of hydrogen H plus ions. And it leads to carbon dioxide dissolves and forming carbonic acid H2CO3, which breaks down into carbon, hydrogen, and bicarbonate ions. Means CO2 becomes carbonic acid H2CO3 and ultimately breaks down into hydrogen ions H plus and bicarbonate ions H2CO3 minus ions. And it rises the rise of H plus increase the acidity of seawaters and reducing the availability of carbonate. And climate change also accelerates ocean acidification because oceans naturally absorb CO2, but increased atmospheric carbon dioxide level has caused oceans to absorb too much carbon dioxide and leading to almost 30% increase in acidity since 1800s time. And emission is going to continue, then surface ocean pH could drop up to 8.1. And the coastal area is especially vulnerable because of acid sulfur runoff from the nearby fields. And when you talk about the ocean in acidification impacts, then it is going to be detrimental for marine ecosystem and particularly calcium carbonate shell or skeletal animals like corals and shellfish. And this infographics contains whole process of oceanidification. And infographics says that the ocean acidification level around it was good for the maritime ecosystem, and in late 1800 it was quite good. And then Kravis says that enough carbonate ions was available for calcium carbonate skeletal animals like coral and shellfish. And but in 2021st 100th century, the seawater pH is going to decrease below 808 and fewer carbonate ions is going to be available to these shell animals. And prelims question related to this was acidification of ocean is increasing. Why is phenomena a cause of concern? And options are growth and survival of calciferous phytoplankton will be adversely affected. Option 2, the growth and survival of coral reefs will be adversely affected. Option 3, the survival of some animals that has phytoplankton larvae will be adversely affected. And fourth one is the cloud seeding and formation of clouds will be adversely affected. And the correct answer is 1 and 2 and 3. And it says that cloud seeding and formation of clouds will not be adversely affected. It is not related to ocean acidification and it is not cause of concern. Now let's move to the next topic. It is California's new anti-deep fake bill, and it is related to California governor has signed three new bills aiming at controlling use of deepfakes in political campaign. And these three bills includes Defending Democracy from Deepfake Deception Act 2024, Elections of Deceptive Media and Advertisement, and Political Reform Act 1974, Political Advertisement Act through AI. These are AI generated synthetic media designed to deceive by manipulating visuals and audio content. And they are creating using generative adversarial network GANs. And possible prelims question can be what are GANs? GANs are generative adversarial networks used to make deep fake AI generated synthetic medium. And when you talk about next topic includes Tuluva's fight against rising sea level. And Tuluva is a Pacific island nation with existential threat for sea level rising, and NASA has predicted by 2050 half of main atolls Funafuti will be submerged by daily tides. And this infographic includes Tuluva's position is Pacific Ocean. And next topic is open science. Open science is the set of principle and practice that aims to make scientific research accessible to everyone, ensuring that production of knowledge is inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. And it encompasses principles such as free access to publication, availability of dataset, open source software utilization, and citizen-centric scientific engagement. UNESCO also recommended for open science definitions and outlines shares values and principles for open science. Open science is going to provide knowledge collaboration across institutions and countries. It is going to promote transparency and reproducibility, improving research quality while maximizing the impact of funding through fair, fundable, accessible, interoperable, and usable principle, fair principle. It is going to have ethical consideration related to open science. There is also impact of artificial intelligence on open science because AI is boosts data mining and analytics. And now talks about open AI. There are many technical barriers, institutional resistance, and economical constraints, and legal issues like intellectual property, which is going to challenge open science principle. And these infographics includes the whole principle and values related to open science. And next is a non-publication of details of security project, and it is sourced from Hindustan Times. And recently, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has stated that detailed projects granted under environmental clearance related to national security will not be available on the Parivesh portal. Means the project related to national security, and which has granted clearance from Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is not going to be available on Parivesh portal. And what about Parivesh portal? Parivesh 2.5, the processing will occur via Parivesh 2.0, but defense related projects will be marked and inaccessible to the public on the portal. It says that it is going to happen in Parivesh 2.0, but it is going to be marked and it is not going to be public on the portal. And Forest Conservation Act 1980, which was amended in 2023, exempted scientific projects, specific projects from seeking forest clearance, which includes strategic projects like road and railways from national importance located within 100 kilometers from the international borders or line of actual control, line of control. Second one is security-related infrastructure projects which involve forest land up to 10 hectares. And third one is defense-related public utility infrastructure in left-wing terrorism (LW) areas affecting district involving forest land up to 5 hectares. And fourth one is projects requiring up to 0.1 hectare land of forest land for the connectivity to road and railway amenities. And what is Parvesh 2.0? It is a web-based application for online submission and monitoring of environment, forest, wildlife, and coastal regulation clearance. This infographics concludes environmental impact assessment, and it is to render details on environmental impact, identify legal options and mitigation measures. And it also includes prediction and evaluation of ecological economic sciences and environmental impact assessment. The nodal ministry is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and it categorizes projects into category A projects which needed prior environmental clearance from Ministry of Forest. Category B projects needed prior environmental clearance from state and UT government. Category B has been subdivided into category B1 projects which mandatorily requires environment clearance, and category B2 requires does not requires environment clearance from state government. And there are 39 categories of the project that requires on environmental clearance and subject to EIA. And it includes EIA process and their objectives and the department which is going to be department of the body which is going to carry out the assessment. And ultimately, Parivesh proactive and responsive facility for interactive visuals and environmental signal window was developed by Ministry of Forest and Climate Change and National Information Center NIC. And there was environmental information in which it collects, stores, and retrieves information related to environmental sector. And draft environmental impact assessment notification 2020 was published by Ministry of Environment and Forest by placing existing environment impact assessment notification 2026.